Welcome back into another episode of George in the Jungle, presented as always by Remington Tavern, coming at you live from the Cincy Light Studios. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy. That's REMITAV, Cincy with a Y, or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, be sure to grab an ice cold Cincy Light. They got it on tap. George, I'm sure you can find a can there if you want it, but tap's the way to go. But as always, support the people who support us. Helps out those players you love watching down at Nippert, at Fifth Third, up and down your Cincinnati Bearcats rosters. But with that, George, we are underway, full go. It's been a week. It was one of those depressing weekends for Cincinnati sports, unless of course I guess you're a fan of one of those two high school teams that played down at Old Paycor. But we will get started with what happened on Saturday as your Cincinnati Bearcats played BYU at Nip at Night. I know you were there. I wasn't able to make it because I was under the weather, and it was a rough weekend for me and my health. But we are bouncing back. But Cincinnati loses 26-14 in that one. Brendan Sorsby does get going at 300 yards, 25-38, 2 touchdowns. Even on a bad ankle, he was able to get 38 yards on the ground. But there was not a lot to be had on the ground throughout the game, only 87 yards total as a team. That just was not something they were ever able to get going, as opposed to BYU, who ran all over Cincinnati with LJ Martin. He was a monster of a human.
Yeah.
He averaged what? He averaged something like, I think he averaged like, I don't even know, 222 on 32. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's getting it done. And I was afraid of that coming in when I watched them the week before, and the way he runs and his size, and then you combine that with the quarterback size, which unbelievable. That kid's a true freshman, but certainly not playing like it at this point in the season. And that's what my biggest fear was. But Cincinnati with a chance late, if they can get off the field, and they weren't able to get off the field. And instead of like downing the ball, Martin decided to just take the stats and get that late touchdown, which
he did.
I can't blame him. You run for 222, you can do whatever the heck you want. And that pretty much put the cap on it. That was disappointing that, you have a chance, but that's been the fear with this defense all along, that when they really have to clamp down and they really have to get off the field, they never do. And that's where you're going to have to improve your personnel. I know there's been a lot talked about that scheme, but there are ways to do that and ways to stop the run with that scheme. I'm just not sure they have the people to do it.
Yeah, you average 5.4 yards per rush if you're BYU in this one. 49 carries total as a team, 265. You average 8.5 yards per completion if you're BYU. Total of 5.3 yards per play if you're BYU, and that is how you run up and down the field all day long. And of course, you win the turnover battle as well, 2-0 if you're BYU. And look, it was rough. I mean, they're 7 of 15 on third down, as opposed to Cincinnati's 4 of 13 on third down. Now, granted, Cincinnati completed 3 of 4 fourth downs.
Right.
The last fourth down that didn't get completed was the last one of the game. But it was just.
Well, they had that one earlier. They had that one down inside the 5. That's
the one I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that was that was bad. That was
the turnover on downs on the stalled drive, which could have. I mean, it doesn't show up on the turnover battle, but that's just another turnover there.
The missed opportunity, and that's what's disappointing about this game too. And I kind of knew the defense was probably going to be the way it was against them, and they were going to be able to grind it out like that. And you just hope that if you're in a game like that, you're not the one making all the mistakes. And it was UC making all the mistakes in this game. BYU played pretty mistake-free. And it seemed like every time Cincinnati got in the position to do something good, a penalty happened, like that face mask. A turnover happened, like I fumbled down there. And I want to say, I guess that was in the fourth quarter. It just, you just can't have those things happen. And they had some big plays, some big moments, but you got to have enough to overcome the mistakes. And the mistakes they made were just too glaring and too many. And you can't overcome all of that when you're playing a solid team, which BYU is, a well-coached team, and a team not making mistakes.
Well, I think you can make those mistakes if you also can turn the ball over. And this team is simply incapable of turning the ball over. They don't get interceptions. They don't force fumbles. So when you don't create turnover, you have to play mistake-free. Now, granted, I mean, as far as penalties go, they came in one of the least penalized teams in the country, Cincinnati. They only get 5 penalties for 40 yards in this game. But to your point, yeah, they all came at completely inopportune times, especially the penalty on a punt. It's you got the team to fourth down, and you line up off sides, you jump off sides.
That was brutal.
I think there were 2 or 3 guys who jumped off sides on that play. So whether you lined up off sides, whether you jumped off, it doesn't matter. And you give the team that you're struggling to stop at all, you give them another opportunity, and then they march down the field and score. So these are things you can't do in a game where you also can't turn the ball over.
Yeah, and that was a sick feeling when you're getting the ball back. It's 4th and 3, and they get the punt away, and you see flags. And it's like, my God, if that's what I'm afraid it is, that's inexcusable. And, as far as the turnovers and Coach Satterfield talked about it today, the lack of turnovers. But as it was interesting, he pointed this out. It's not just that. He called it creating havoc, the defense creating havoc. And they don't create a lot of havoc. They don't put offenses in bad situations where it's, they did the other night when it was 2nd and 20, and then that penalty killed them. But that's been rare where you get, a play for a loss on 1st down, or force the other team to hold you, or whatever it is to get them in 2nd and 3rd and longs. That and it just seems like every time a team is in 3rd and long, they're able to convert somehow against this defense. I don't know how it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. But that's something this coaching staff has to figure out. Probably too late to figure it out for this season, but Coach Satterfield talked about in the offseason, they got to look at those things and see why this hasn't been happening for the Cincinnati defense.
Well, it makes you wonder why you didn't look into those things this past offseason.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that next season on that defensive line, you don't have a Dante Corleone.
That's going to be interesting.
No, that's
I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know how they're going to do it, but and how linemen are in the portal. Those are like prized possessions.
You also
hard to get good ones.
You also freed up a ton of money. You're going to have freed up a ton of money with Dante Corleone not being on the payroll, as it were. So we'll see what they're able to do. I'm sure that they're no stranger to trying to rebuild this roster at this point. And
no, it seems like it's the 3rd time they've had to do it.
Well, I fully trust Zach and Jack to get things done. And those guys down in the recruiting department, they're really good at especially hitting the portal. I thought they've done a great job, especially year over year. They continue to improve this roster year over year. I still think that this is the best roster that they've had as constructed, and better than last year. Last year was better than the year before. So we'll see what they're able to do going forward. They're continuing to learn how this all goes, as anybody across the country is.
Yeah, everybody's kind of, in the same boat trying to figure out. And we talked about this ad nauseum a couple of years ago, where it's just like the NCAA and college sports in general dumping this on everybody at once was just worst case scenario. And And, if you didn't already have those resources and people in place, you were behind, and UC was behind a little bit.
Well, so this week you got TCU coming up on Saturday. You're able to improve from 7-4 to 8-4 to finish out your season if you're able to beat TCU. TCU, I know it's hate week. I don't know that I hate Sonny Dykes, but I certainly don't care for Sonny Dykes down at TCU. So same with Josh Hoover. I'm not a Josh Hoover guy. I think him being a furry is out there for a quarterback.
It's way out there. I wasn't in tune to this.
That's a weird thing. That came out right before the season started. Pictures on Instagram where he was like, "Yeah, I'm a furry. It's fine." That's very
so.
strange.
What do you do? Like just show up to places like dressed as a rat or something? Or
I don't want any of those.
Don't get it.
I don't want to ask those questions. I don't want to know those answers. I don't want to know what that all entails. That's just not my cup of tea.
No, not mine either. I mean, to each his own, but that's a different world than I live in.
Yep. So that all said, I don't know. You got an opportunity to improve to 8-4. Obviously, the mantra this week, it sounds like, coming from the players at the presser today, is that 8-4 looks better than 7-5, feels better than 7-5. You want to send out your seniors on that last win, as this is the last time you're going to really get to play with that team as a team, for sure. Who knows what players may sit out, may not be in tune with trying to play that last bowl game, especially if you're healthy and have plans on doing something different next season, whatever the case may be. Or going to that NFL combine. You just don't know who's going to go. So this is your real last time with that team. So they're certainly sounds like they're looking to get to 8-4 for Gavin Gerhardt, guys like Dante Corleone. There's 22, 23 seniors littered up and down this roster. So you hope they get there.
Yeah, I know it sounds stupid. 7 wins, 8 wins. Is there really a difference? To me, there is a little bit. I mean, especially if you can go down there, get a win on the road at TCU, a respectable team, a program that's had a lot of good success and some of that success lately, and beat Houston last week. And if there's a chance for those DBs to get their hands on the couple, the furry guy has thrown his share of picks this season. So maybe they can create a couple down there and turn this thing around. And I got to figure out the answer to this question, though. And it's looking ahead, and you just alluded to it, who would play in the bowl game and how does that work? Do you get a chunk of money of your NIL money, like per game? And so you would have to play that game to get that chunk of money, or you could forego it and sit out, because it's hard to say you gotta play to get, your whole check. So I don't know how they do that in increments.
I would imagine it would be something along the lines of like when a basketball team plays at a neutral site. This is a neutral site game. This isn't part of your season. This is an exhibition, I guess, as it were. So I don't know if that automatically makes you eligible for NIL money, supported by the bowl game. I would imagine that's the case.
That's probably it, something like that, because it just doesn't. I can see the players' end of it, but God, outside of the playoff games, a lot of these bowl games have been rendered useless, and that's why I'm saying I would love to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Just because I love that whole show they put on that they used to do with the Cheez-Its Bowl, and now it's Pop-Tarts, I think. And it's cool how they do that, and it's kind of neat. And I'd like to go to that, but if half the team's sitting out, then what's the point? Why would I go to it? I don't know.
And how are you getting anybody excited about a Shreveport game? Or
exactly, the Birmingham Bowl and all that stuff. It's really – those bowls have got to somehow college football's got to figure that out, or a lot of these bowls, it's good for television. It gives television programming. It's good for the gamblers, but it's not really good for the gamblers because then you're just flipping a coin. You don't know.
You have no idea who's even playing.
Yeah, when UC played in that Fenway Bowl, and it was like, who are these guys and who are those guys? And there was no way to tell what was going to happen.
Didn't Prater start that game?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
He had the bum shoulder and could barely throw.
Yeah.
He tried.
Yeah.
He tried. I do give him credit for trying to do that, but he was visibly in pain throwing the football.
Yep. Just to kind of put it in perspective, though, right now, as you look at the conference, you got Texas Tech and BYU at 10-1. You've got Utah at 9-2. You've got Arizona State 8-3, Houston 8-3, Arizona 8-3, Cincinnati 7-4, Iowa State 7-4. If you can improve to 8-4, you finish what? Fourth? Tied for fourth?
Yeah, I mean that's
somewhere
certainly better than what preseason picks were. And the fact that they were still in it up until this Saturday. And look, I you want to make the playoff, you want to win the conference, but at the bare minimum for me, and I did get it this year, is meaningful football games in November. Yes. Because there's so much to say about that, because it's so much fun and it's so cool to feel like you're still a part of it up until November, and there's still something they're playing for. So, I mean, I wish had it gone better. I think it could have gone better, but I still, appreciate the fact that it's meaningful football in November.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens on Saturday. That game kicks off at 3:30 on Fox. Both teams sitting at 7-4. Both teams wanting to get to 8-4. Look, if TCU doesn't win this game, I don't know that Sonny Dykes is back at TCU. I don't know if the win last week is enough for him.
It's a weird coaching cycle, man, because there's so many jobs open. Or is TCU going to want to, jump into that fray? I don't know. It's where are all these coaches going to come from? I mean, is it going to be Recycle City? I don't know. It's crazy.
And if you don't, does that make next season a lame duck year?
Right.
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know either. I mean, if obviously if you got the money, it's just go ahead, and if you think it's not working, you got to pull the plug when you think it's not working. But it's a lot to think about, and I just never thought I'd see the day that it would get to this point in college football. But I'm not going to lie, it's very interesting to see all this crazy stuff going on. I mean, it's just every day you're hearing something about some coach that's either been there for a while or a named coach and possibly getting run out of town. It seems like you get about a 2 to 3 year window, and if you don't show anything at all, you're down the road and the next guy's in.
Now, it is a homecoming of sorts for Brendan Sorsby, so we'll see how that plays out for him, as he is about as close to home as he's going to get with this schedule. But good on him that he's going to get to go home and see family, friends, and all of that to close out the season. Cincinnati right now, a 4.5-point dog to TCU, so we'll see how that goes. No, not surprising at all. You've got to play mistake-free football to win this game.
Yeah, and that's been an issue. That's been especially at the critical junctures, and that's what bit them Saturday. Oh, that was tough. That was tough. Every time you thought, okay, they're going to be all right, something happened.
Well, speaking of that, we will switch gears a little bit here and move back to Friday night as Cincinnati played 6th seed Louisville at the Heritage Bank Arena. Were you at that one, George?
Yeah.
I thought so.
I was there.
They lose that one 74-64 as you can't watch that game and not wonder what might have happened if Pat Kelsey doesn't send a goon out there to take out Baba Miller with a nice knee to the hip.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what happened with a guy who played 9 whole minutes in the game in what was his name? Pryor. Kayshawn Pryor. It looks like they've actually adjusted his minutes. Maybe I looked at it wrong. 8 minutes in the game. He played 8 minutes. He had 2 rebounds. He had 2 fouls. He had 2 steals. And that's all that guy had. And he had one knee right to the hip of Baba Miller.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And it just stinks that happened, you know, in that moment in that game. And Cincinnati was playing pretty darn well. I probably, though, should say I was about as mad, you know, at a certain point in that second half of the game as I've been in a while, because you felt like it was there for the taking. Yeah, I know it's shocking that I'm mad. But it's there for the taking, and things start slipping, and you just, there's several ways I can go with this that aggravated me. You know, the chucking of the threes. I just felt like when you know, and Miller's out of the game, that's a big piece of it, no doubt about it. But there just never seemed like a go-to thing to go to offensively when they needed a bucket. It just seemed like pass it around and pray for an open shot and somebody chucking a three, or I don't know. I was really, really irritated with the offense in the second half of that game. And I just felt like when this team needs to go get a bucket, and that's been the way it's been for a few years, there's no answer. There's no good set go-to plays to get somebody open with a decent look. And maybe that's easier said than done, but that's, you know, I see other teams do it.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me anyway in the second half, because the shooting was almost identical. As I look at first half box and the second half box, particularly from three, as
they came out pretty hot too.
4-15 in the first half from three, 4-14 in the second half from three. 11 of 30 from the field in the second half, 12 of 32 in the first half. The big thing though was free throws. It continues to be free throws.
Yeah, and I don't get it.
You shoot 10 of 16 if you're the Bearcats, and Louisville 24 of 28, and went 14 of 17 Louisville in the second half. Right. And that's your main difference. When
that Brown kid wouldn't miss. And there's, you know, definitely some discussions to be had there about defensively what they did, but I thought they, you know, I know Conwell went off in the second half, but at times I thought that, you know, sure, the Louisville guards are probably a little bit better, but you know, UC did some nice things. In fact, defense was holding them in that thing and kept them in the lead for quite a while in that game. Mm-hmm. In my opinion. And there were times where the defense definitely set up the offense. Yeah, I don't want them to have to depend on that all the time. And I guess that was my earlier point. It's like, you know, if you don't get a turnover, don't get some kind of a bust out, or, you know, where you can get down the court quickly before they have a chance to set. If they have a chance to set, it just seems like UC's cooked.
Yeah,
that game, it felt like it in that second half.
Well, there's some other big number disparities here, as Louisville's points off turnovers was 17, Cincinnati's was 7. Both teams with 13 turnovers. So that's something there. I don't know. I mean, it just, you're right. The first half, defensively, they did about everything right.
Right.
And just things kind of got off board. At the end of the day, you went toe-to-toe with the 6th seed. And again, if your best player, arguably your best player, doesn't go out, I don't know what the final score is. I don't know that.
I get it. I know. I probably got a little too mad, but it was Louisville. I'm sitting right next to a Louisville fan. I mean, come on.
Well, so fast forward then to last night.
I'm going to make this point, and this is,
yeah.
I feel like I know Sean Abayev is going to be awesome. I really do. Yeah. He's got everything going on. I don't know. It still seems too early to just give him carte blanche to hoist any shot he feels like hoisting. And I felt like in that game, he had a couple good takes to the rim, and he did it last night. I want to see more of that out of him. I think that's
So
going to open up that outside for him.
So, and Chad and I talked about that in the aftermath. That's the difference though between a guy like, going back to Louisville before we move on, Mike Brown, or Mikel Brown rather, 4 of 15 on the night. He was 4 of 15, 12 of 14 from the line. So
Made
that 4 of
11.
15,
Yes.
so that 4 of 15 turns into 22 points because you were 12 of 14 from the line, as
Right.
opposed to Sean Abayev in that same game, who goes 4 of 16 for 12 points, 1 of 3 at the line, because everything he shot was a 3, and he was trying to get that the 3, the foul. He
Right.
was, I don't want to call it flopping, but he was trying to draw the foul on.
He's pretty good at that, by the way.
Felt like 3 or 4 different times in that game he falls to the ground trying to draw the foul on the 3. And
Right.
yeah, if you get a couple of those, that's all well and good, but you also have to be able to make those free throws. But
Yeah.
that's the difference, though, between going for 12 points on 4 of 16 as opposed to 20 points on 4 of 16.
And I can be convinced. I mean, this is a non-conference game. It's probably more important to Cincinnati fans than it is the grand scheme of things because it's
Yes.
Louisville. But this is still a learning, teaching, building moment. And so you don't want to put a harness on him. You know, you really don't. But I just feel like you give him a little more leash as he goes along. I feel like he's got the whole leash.
So fast forward to last night, and last night, Sean Abayev, 20 points, 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 11 from 3. So he's still chucking up a lot of threes, but he does go 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He also chips in 8 rebounds, which is by far his high as a Bearcat. Baba Miller out still in this one. We'll see if he plays tomorrow night. If I'm coach, I'm not playing him tomorrow night, as you've got some big games coming up. You want to make sure, especially with a hip, that there's nothing lingering into the season, into the tougher games of your non-con, into the conference schedule especially. But you blow out NJIT 94-67. Data didn't have a great game against Louisville. He was efficient last night. 25 minutes played, and he did pretty much everything that you would want him to do. So he did have a bit of a bounce back game, but it was more of a coming out party for some guys who are going to be coming off the end of your bench throughout the season. Guys like Keyshawn Tillery, guys like Halvin Zella, guys like Tyler McKinley, guys like Jordy Rodriguez, all of these guys able to have a little bit more run in this game, a little bit more freedom in this game, as, again, it is NJIT, the New Jersey Institute of Technology. But this is where you want to make sure that you get some of those guys those extended minutes.
I was very pleased that all those guys got that many minutes, because this is when they get them. And that was great. And it was great to see the way they played. Tyler McKinley was terrific. I mean, that guy's got a basketball IQ. He's got an awareness on the court. I mean, he's, catching a ball on the run and passing it right away to a wide open guy and getting an assist that way. He's on the floor going after the ball. He's grabbing. He was good. Chom was really good last night, but like you said, it's NJIT. You expect that. But, Jordy Rodriguez played fairly well, and I'll be damned, that Zella guy, he moves so much better now.
Yes.
And he looks like he's going to be some backup help before this thing's all said and done.
Well, you can see Tyler McKinley, he's grown up watching the Bearcats. He's wanted to be a Bearcat his entire life. He gets Bearcat basketball. You have to be gritty. You have to be tough. You have to do the things that feel a little grimy. But you can see some of that starting to trickle out to guys like Halvin Zella, who doesn't stop moving. He doesn't have the skill set of Mustafa Cham, without question.
Right.
But he continues to improve game over game. His improvement from last season is, you can't put words on it, truthfully. It's magnificent.
It's crazy. It doesn't seem like the same guy. And all the big men have pretty good hands too. I mean, Cham made a catch in traffic on the ball. He never and made the shot. And I hear some of these arguments that he's no good. He's not. It's another Aziz. Are you kidding me? If you watch this kid play and do some of the things, just what he did last night in a couple stretches was enough to convince me this guy's got some offensive skill that's really going to help this team. And defensively, He doesn't bounce like the other kid did, but he's in the right spots and he's doing the right things. And I think he's going to be. I mean, I don't know how long he's around for the college game, but he's just going to keep getting better.
Aziz was in his fifth year
Yeah,
last year.
at least.
Mustafa Cham is supposed to be a freshman in
Right.
college this year.
Right.
He was supposed to be a senior in high school last year. This is a very young kid. His
Right.
athleticism is far superior to anything Aziz gave you, and that's not a knock on Aziz. That's just
No, he
where
was what he
Mustafa
was.
Cham is. Yeah, that's
He's
just
got
where
some
Mustafa
shooting
Cham is.
ability too. I don't know that I want him launching threes, but he gets to the free throw line. He's got a good looking shot. He's got a good shot in the lane, a good touch. I think he's going to be terrific.
He's got a soft touch. He's got a nice little hook.
Yeah.
He can do things that with his back to the basket that Aziz could not do.
Right.
One of these things is not like the other.
No, I don't understand how anyone can even begin to think that way.
And again, going back to Sean Abayev, you continue to give him that leash, and you see what he can do. He was moving
He's
to
going
the
to be
basket.
so good. The talent is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know when they've had a freshman that talented all the way around.
He's the first McDonald's All-American since Lance Stevenson. But
you can just tell. I mean, he's just got that thing that is going to he's just going to get better and better. And man, I think his shooting form's good. I like everything about it. I just wonder if you give him all this rope right now. I just, and I hope it works out. I know you got to give it to him in some of these games, and you don't want to rein him in too much. And it's a fine line. But I just felt like, when you're throwing up, as I say, there's not a shot he doesn't like. And when it's happening in that Louisville game, when, I'm a real stickler on valuing possessions, and not only are turnovers bad shots are bad, or ill-advised shots are bad.
Well, what do we know about Heritage Bank, though? What we know about Heritage Bank, and granted, I hear that they replaced their rims for this game finally, which kudos. If you're going to host a basketball game, you should probably have rims that are worth a shit. But we also know that you can't the shooting the shooting visuals are off. The depth is off because you don't have the crowd right behind the hoops as you do normal basketball arenas. So everything is weird with shooting.
I don't know. I hate these NCAA tournament games going to indoor stadiums and things like that. I hate that.
I guess I just wish that in this particular game they had just decided to play more in the paint than try and rely on these jump shots, because you know that the shooting visuals are off.
Yeah, so, no, I get your point. It's a good point, and I would have probably played it the way you're talking about, and I didn't see a whole lot of that going on. Again, you're talking about the 6th ranked team in the country, and to go toe to toe with them like that, I guess I should accept that as a good thing. But there were just some things I would have changed.
Well, they shot poorly as well. So, in any case, we'll see what happens.
He has to keep that defense cranked up. I know Wes talks about a lot. They're much better when they have the defense cranked up.
Yep. So again, they play tomorrow night. Hopefully there's some students who decide to try and get this thing fixed, as the student sections have been barren as of late here these last couple of games. You got EMU coming to town, Eastern Michigan. Cincinnati favored 22.5 in this one. That one tips off at 7:00 on ESPN Plus. Right after the game, Dave and I will be live talking football, doing a little bit of the BCJ pod, and then when Chad gets home after the presser, we'll hop on and do the aftermath. So that's just a little preview there for you. But I guess we'll switch gears here, George, unless you got anything left on basketball. I guess if you're looking ahead to Eastern Michigan, what do you want to see in another bye game, essentially?
I tell you what, kind of what I saw last night, if you want to know the truth. I
Yeah.
want to see those kids get some more experience. I just, I wonder. I don't know when Miller's going to be back. I'd like to get him one game before the shootout, but we'll see. And they've got one Monday night, right?
Yeah. Yep. Tarleton.
So I don't know that there's any need to rush him back at all for tomorrow night. I think those kids they have that I saw last night are perfectly capable of playing with EMU, and hopefully they get the job done. But just continue to improve and get better and build that depth. And I'll tell you what I saw last night. I know it was in JIT, but it's encouraging. They at least appeared more than competent.
Well, I guess we're running a little ahead of schedule right now. So let's talk a little bit about Buck Harris. Some guys that we saw some surprise things out of. Buck Harris hits 12 points last night. We heard all offseason about how he's not a great shooter. He's shooting well. He hits his first 3 of the season last night, 4 of 7. He's as fast as he looks shot out of a cannon when he goes. I think his favorite play is coast to coast.
Yeah.
Jordy Rodriguez, you talked a little bit about him having a little bit of a breakout game. 3 of 4 from 3. He gets 10 in this one. And I think Keyshawn Tillery kind of stole the show last night. Kirk Reesick plays the least amount of minutes of the season. Coach is probably more than happy to let him take a little bit of a night off, giving him only 18 minutes. He only shoots 3 shots in this one. He gets 6 assists in those 18 minutes. So, yeah, you take a seat, Kerr. You're good. And Keyshawn Tillery gets run. He gets a technical on a little bit of a knucklehead play there.
I wasn't really honked off at him for that.
I wasn't either. I wasn't.
Right.
Look, there's some situations where you can get away with something like that. If you're gonna do it, you kind of did it as it was a dominance thing, and I'm okay with a dominance thing, especially in a game where you are dominating. Now, if it was a close game and you're doing something like that,
right.
Depends on when in the game, I guess. If you're doing it early on to try to
you don't want them to do it, but
no, you don't.
Things happen during a game, and
right.
He reacted, and he didn't really hide the reaction at all.
That was what got him the foul. Is
right
when you can't flex, you can't stare, you can't yell right at a guy, and he did all 3 of those things on that play.
He did. I thought he played really well, and I was glad Wes left him in because you got to learn to go ahead and let that emotion go and get back in the flow of the game. I thought that was a good thing Wes did by letting him stay in the game and try to do that, and he did a good job of it. I thought that was really a great moment right there, that he just let him stay in and play through and try to settle back down. And I thought he looked good. There was maybe 1 or 2 mistakes that he made, but you're going to get those. But I thought he looked like he's going to be a lot of help too. He's terrific little player and a lot of energy. And you mentioned Buck Harris. He's got a lot of energy. And I still see the things out of him when I first saw I saw the first couple of games. I still feel the same way about him. I love watching him play. When he's on the court, it's hard for me not to just watch him sometimes because he's all over the darn place.
The way that
in a good way.
The way that he slips screens is absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, he's nuts. I don't know how he gets through all those, but he does. He finds a way.
Jordy sat out in that Louisville game, but he bounces back and has 10 in a game that he, for the first time, looked comfortable, I think, in the offense without just I don't want to say he looked like, baby deer or anything like that. I don't think that was the case. He just looked disjointed at times in some of the earlier games, and in this one he flowed with the offense, I thought.
Yeah, he did. He looked a little more maybe involved in everything, because before I was a little worried, like this dude's just going to be a sometime shooter, and that's it.
Yeah,
he's not going to do anything else. And
kind of like what Tyler Betsy gave you last. Kind of like what Tyler Betsy gave you last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's that was a little concerning. But last night he was in the flow and was more like a player. Now I don't think when you go against the Louisvilles of the world or the top of the Big 12, you're going to see him getting a whole lot of minutes unless he continues to make major strides. But it's good to get him these minutes right now and get him playing that way. So it's going to come a little more naturally to him down the road.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll switch gears here though. Again, you've got tip at 7:00 tomorrow on ESPN Plus for that one against Eastern Michigan. But Cincinnati Bengals, they were the third leg of this awful parlay for Cincinnati sports, and if you took that parlay, shame on you. But congratulations.
I should have done it.
Plenty of people did.
I know.
Plenty of people did.
No, I wouldn't. I couldn't do it though. I couldn't.
I feel like Pete Rose in a sense that I can't bet against.
I know.
Anyway, the Bengals lose this one 26-20 to the Patriots. You felt like they had a chance. I keep going back to 4th and 1, and you don't go for it. You settle for a punt, and I'm still kind of sick about it. I don't know what you're doing there. I don't.
Well, especially at this, I mean, you were at do or die point, and you can go back, to a couple of 4th downs UC's football team has had in games that you were like, I understand why they're going for it, and they did. They were probably, as aggressive as you need to be when you're in those situations.
Right.
Like, how much worse was it going to be for the Bengals if they didn't get that? But if you do get that, I wasn't keen on that either.
I thought Chase Brown was excellent on Sunday, actually. 19 carries for 107. Joe Flacco, while not anywhere near elite, he's been far more than serviceable, especially when you consider the fact that he's playing with a bum shoulder. You wouldn't know it looking at him. And in this one, he also dislocated a finger. You wouldn't know it looking at him. He's a
tough old bird, man.
Plays through pain without a single even inkling on his face, his statuesque face.
Right.
But
he is a tough customer, but boy, did he have a horrible throw in that game.
He did. Yeah, that interception.
Horrible decision. He just flat topped that play. There was nobody in the neighborhood. And, he saw the one guy covered and assumed, and, that happens, but it shouldn't have happened then. I mean, that was a killer.
But we find out today that Joe Burrow sitting out in this game was actually Zach Taylor's choice. Joe Burrow told Zach Taylor that he was a little sore from practice. Go figure, considering it was his first week of practice. Well, first full week of practice since this whole injury fiasco. So yeah, of course he's a little sore, but you hold him out. If you're Zach Taylor, I don't really know what you're doing there. I don't love making that decision for your franchise, the face of your franchise. If he says he can go, I think you play him. That all said, Joe Burrow gets in front of the podium today, and he's pretty much says nothing but supportive things about Zach Taylor. It sounds like he's going to get the nod on Thursday. You also, after the game on Sunday, you get what might be Joe Flacco's last time in front of the podium. And I don't know how you don't fall in love with that guy and hope that he is Joe Burrow's backup for the rest of the time that he wears football cleats. Because that's where I'm at with Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
But I also think that Joe Burrow could learn an awful lot from that guy for how to maintain your body for what is this career.
Without a doubt.
But
Flacco's been very durable.
What do you make of all of this with this Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor thing and all of that?
Yeah, I understand where Zach was coming from with just the 1 week of practice and the dudes coming off that, had some soreness.
You also don't know if he plays on Sunday, if he would physically be ready to play again on
Well, that's
Thursday
another thing. You got a quick
against the
turnaround.
Ravens. Yeah.
You got a quick turnaround. The only problem is you really, really, really needed to win Sunday. I wasn't holding out hopes that
And you had no
they
Jamar
would
Chase.
go to the playoffs, but yeah, the whole window was shut with that loss. Now, what are the odds they were going to run the table? Anyway, it's slim and none. So you kind of look out for the future. But there are still people that think Joe Burrow should not play this week when Joe Burrow says, not only can I can play, I want to play, and I should play. And I agree with Burrow on those points.
Yeah, Joe Burrow says that if he's healthy, the idea of not playing just doesn't make sense to him. Why would it? And I made this point last week. How do you tell anybody else to go out there and play for a win the rest of this season
Exactly.
if you're not sending your guy, the face of your franchise, out there to play?
And obviously he is the most important and most valuable player they
Without
have.
question.
Right. But that doesn't mean that you put him in bubble wrap unless you're in the playoff race. I mean, it just, you want these guys to be playing and doing the things not only that they want to do, but to make your team better and to make them better. Give them as many chances as they can. I know, you get the situation every year where starters rest, but that's a different situation. They're taking a week off before the playoffs and just, it's a different deal. If you do that to all your top line players, well, then why is Jamar Chase going to be playing Thursday night? Right? He's a hell of a player. We don't want him hurt. Should he sit too?
Why was T. Higgins playing last week? He ends up with a concussion.
And now we see what his deal is. Right. I mean, it's football. And that's what Burrow said today. They know there's going to be injuries. Guys are going to get hurt. They're going to, have broken bones. I forget what he said, ligament tears and something else. It sounded brutal what he said, but it's true. Injuries are going to happen. Now, I think the problem with this is most people are now resigned to thinking Joe's somewhat injury prone.
Sure. How would you not think that?
Right.
Yeah.
I get that. But I mean, that's what it is. And you're not going to sit him against Baltimore Thursday night in a division game that everybody wants to win just because you want to make sure he's okay for the start of training camp next year. I mean, does that make sense?
Nope.
No. Not to me either. And it's a bad signal to send. Why would anyone come here and expect winning to be important if you hold that guy out because you're afraid he's going to get hurt?
Doesn't make a lick of sense, George.
Okay.
Also today,
I thought it was just me because I've heard a lot of people saying, and I've seen polls now these are unscientific Twitter polls, but it's like more than half the people saying he shouldn't play.
I'm not there. I'm with you. I think that if you are the guy, then you have to be the guy.
Yep.
Whatever that means. You also had today Jamar Chase issuing his apology publicly. He had already posted it online. He issued his apology publicly, said he was unable to reach out directly to Jalen Ramsey as he doesn't have his number, so he was unable to do so. Clearly did not try and channel that very hard. And just we're leaving it there, I think.
There was something going on. And it was, look, Ramsey is known to dig into things he shouldn't dig into and bring them up on a football field.
Well, now I'm seeing things there's rumors that he was spit on first. I don't know, whatever. At this point, if you get caught, you get caught.
Nothing surprises me because when
Jalen
Ramsey was able to get A.J. Green that mad that he just flat mugged him in the middle of a football field in front of 65,000 people.
You can't punch a guy in the helmet. It never works out well.
No, it doesn't work out. But he said some stuff that he totally crossed the line with AJ Green. And I cannot fault AJ Green for what he did. You know, I heard several people say what it was in reference to, and it was in reference to a relative who had passed away. And when you're going there, you know, and yes, okay, the player somehow got to blow it off, but some of that stuff, when you're already pumped up and emotional, you know, I mean, that's part of Jalen Ramsey's game. And is he a good player? Yeah, he's a good player, but he's also, you know, sometimes a mouthy punk.
There is that. Sounds like something. Sounds like a Steelers treasure trove.
Yeah, I mean that is, you know, and they like the Steelers fan likes to say it's the Bengals that are always, you know, the bad guys, and it's funny how the different fan bases have completely polar opposite views of the other team. It's so funny.
Yep. And then also we find out that T. Higgins did end up in concussion protocol. He won't be playing on Thursday. I believe Trey Hendrickson's also been ruled out on Thursday as well. I see conflicting things. I don't know what to think about it. I know some people are saying he is definitely very injured. I don't know that I'm buying it.
I don't know either. I've heard some of the same things, and I'm not. It would surprise me. Okay, I will say that. And when some people told me some things, I was shocked. I'm like,
because he's been the immaculate professional the entire time.
Absolutely.
Granted, he's wanted out, but when the lights came on, he's always been the immaculate professional. For him to,
yes, without a doubt,
for him to sit out, I know you wanted out. I know you didn't get your way repeatedly.
Right.
I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough one, and it's, if any of this is true, it's very disappointing, and I hope it's not. There's just some rumblings, and obviously you've heard some stuff too, and you know, we shall see, as they like to say. But yeah, all this, you know, it's not good. I mean, he's being paid handsomely. Whereas, yeah, okay, the Bengals didn't want to pay him because he's 30 and do a long year deal. But the Bengals did play by the rules that were agreed upon by the Players Association. And so that's, you know, that's where we're at. And, you know, you can call the Bengals a lot of things, and, you know, you can disagree on the way they've handled this, but it hasn't been anything underhanded as far as, you know, with the tag and all that. That's there for a reason, and the players agreed to it.
Well,
so if you don't like what the Players Association has out there rules, there's nobody with a gun to your head telling you to play football by these rules. You can go do whatever, you know, is next.
Yeah.
Right?
What George said.
That's right.
Thursday, the Bengals play the Ravens at 8:20 p.m. The Baltimore currently is favored by 7. Look, at the end of the day, if the Ravens somehow lose twice to the Bengals over the course of the next couple of weeks, if the Ravens also, I think it's if the Ravens beat the Steelers, like there is still some way statistically the Bengals could make the playoff, which is insane talk.
Especially when you, and I'm not even looking it up to see what has to happen.
When somebody's already done it for you. If you're into that on Twitter,
I can give you a chance to sprout wings and fly.
I can give you the handle of a guy who's already wrote out the entire scenario. But in any case, they got to do some things. That all said, it's disheartening when you see how terrible the defense has been. When you see what Lou Anarumo's got going on in Indianapolis with Jermaine Pratt getting 20 tackles in a game.
I know. True.
With Logan Wilson still doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to also, you know, there are different players fit different defenses. And obviously Jermaine Pratt fits what Lou wants to do with him very well. And that it's a shame the way that came to an end here, because Lou kind of took the fall, and now we see Lou probably didn't have enough toys to play with. And I'm wondering, the way this team's structured, the way they draft defense, will they ever have the toys for a defensive coordinator to play with?
Well, when all of your toys in the toy box revolve around sports, it's really hard to have a water gun fight.
That's something like that. Something like that.
Just saying. In any case, that's enough on the Bengals. But we'll see what they're able to do. Look, if they beat the Ravens, then we'll start to have the conversation of what you might have to do. But let's one game at a time. And I'm not sure how I feel about this one.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it at all. But I said this early on with Joe Burrow, and I just will not bet against that man of pulling off some crazy stunt to win games. I mean, he is really, really good. There's some things, I mean, he's just an intriguing person because I can't figure him out. There's no way I can figure him out. But I do know that he seems to do all the right things, say all the right things, play the right way, get things done on the field, processes defenses and plays and what's going on and finding the weakness quicker than maybe anybody I've ever seen. I think he's like a savant. It's really crazy.
And Lamar Jackson might be out. He's already missed one practice, I believe, already this week. I don't know what happened with him today.
That would be a nice that the Bengals would have a tremendous advantage at that position if that indeed happens.
We'll see what happens. But the last thing we want to get to, because nothing's happened in regards to any of the Reds murmuring, so we'll table that discussion for a different day. But FC Cincinnati gets their doors kicked in by Messi and Inter Miami as they win for nil, I guess, as the case may be. I've been watching some Ted Lasso, so I'm getting some lingo, George. But I'm just completely naive to how this entire sport runs. I don't understand what we're doing with a 3-game first round, which is complete polar opposite from any other sport that has multiple games in first round versus later rounds. We have 3 games in the first round, and then we're just one and done in the second and subsequent rounds.
It is unusual. I should know why they did that because they're still seeding 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. So it's still, I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. I don't understand. I mean, you make more money because you got 2 more games or 1 more game at least in the series. And I guess that's one way to guarantee everyone a home playoff game in the first round. But other than that, then you go to the next round and it's one and done. And boy, was it ever done for Cincinnati in that second half. Messi scores in the 19th minute to give Miami the lead, and then it's still tied going into the second half. And then boom, 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 out go the lights. And they did go out. And that's a shame that the season ends that way because it kind of feels like the season never really – they'd get a little bit of traction, and then it was like something's not right. And then a little bit, and something's not right. And here they are back at the something's not right thing, and they got an off season now to figure it out, which isn't very long. You get about a couple months, and it's time to go again.
Well, it feels like as soon as they started to figure something out, they'd have one of those weird 3-week breaks. So I don't know. This sport's strange, and I don't understand.
That too. I don't know. They'll still have that with that new schedule, and they go to it in a year or two. Next year will be like a regular season. Then they have that abbreviated season. Then they tear into the July to whatever, February or March or whatever season they're going to be on, which is the same schedule as a lot of the international leagues, but they still have those breaks.
So weird.
Yeah, it is odd.
Sport is the strangest sport that there is, without question. Talk to me about high school sports, because I know that there was a humdinger of a game down in Paycor on Friday. Elder St. X,
and the Bombers get it done, and now find themselves in the state semifinals. And what a season for Elder, being undefeated up to that point. Tough way for them to end it, but you made the regional championship. Which is the goal of every high school team out there. And you get to that, and then the chips fall where they may, and you just do your best effort. And unfortunately for the Elder fans, the Panthers weren't able to, but still a great season. Doug Ramsey's done such a good job over there for so many years. God, he's got to be clicking close to 30 years now over there. Certainly 30, counting his time as an assistant, I would think, close to it. But, yeah, he's done a great job, and now Steve Specht has the Bombers back in the state semifinals, and they're going to face Middletown. Surprising Middletown winning the other region. So now in the state semis, St. X takes on Middletown, coached by Callie Jones, who used to be at Withrow, a former Marine, and he runs his teams like a tight ship, did a great job at Withrow. And now I think this is his second year at Middletown. And to have them in the state semifinals, as many down years as that program had, boy, that's a hell of a job he's done up there. That guy, that's coach of the year material right there. So that's Division I, Middletown St. X in the state semis. Division II, Anderson versus Sunbury Big Walnut. And Division IV, Indian Hill still alive, 13-0 against Shelby, who's also 13-0. John Rodenberg getting it done in Indian Hill. He's won state championships at Moeller. I know I've bored you with this before, but he's one of 2 high school coaches in the country to win state titles in 3 different states. He's done it in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. And now he may do it in Ohio again. Isn't that nuts?
The tri-state area.
I know. And then Kentucky. You got 2A, Owensboro Catholic at Beechwood. Both of those teams 11-1. Owensboro is the top-ranked team in Class 2A, so we'll see if Beechwood can get it done at home. Murray at Lloyd, Chad's team, his alma mater, in a state semifinal with a home game. And they've got Murray, who's 13-0 and is the top-ranked team in 3A. According to those RPI points, Kentucky does. But Lloyd's had a tremendous year, and I don't doubt the Jugs. And 6A, Ryle's still alive, taking on a really good South Warren team, the top-ranked team at 6A. Ryle 10-3 at South Warren. And it's interesting because the games in Ohio for the state semifinals are neutral sites. Kentucky's still playing home field advantage for the so I guess Murray would not be the number 1 team in 3A. Lloyd has the home field. But I didn't think Lloyd was the number 1 ranked team in that, but ranked high enough that they get to host Murray.
Well, good on them. I'm going to go back to a point I made last week and say that they should host that first game that they were going to host at Mason. They should host that down at Paycor or Nippert, one or the other, every season.
I don't even get like this Middletown St. X game's going to be at Dayton Welcome. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason it's not at Nippert. Maybe I don't know if it's the holiday week. I don't know what it is, but there should not be a reason they couldn't play that game down here in that venue. And I don't know what happened there. I just I don't want to say a whole lot more, but I just feel like sometimes the State Athletic Association just does what it's always done because that's what they've always done.
They just get in their own way. You had 27,000 fans down at Paycor, and that's absurd.
That is what a missed opportunity that would have been.
Yeah.
And you would think they won't make that mistake again because the state the Athletic Association gets some of that money.
I'm sure they get more than some. It's probably a pretty good chunk.
Yeah, that's 4 times what they would have gotten at Mason.
That's 20,000 more tickets than you sold at Mason total.
I don't know. Though, at least this opened the door to Paycor doing that. So in the future, maybe that's the first call and not, the second.
Last ditch effort.
Or they're calling you saying
the Hail Mary.
You sold all your tickets Monday by noon. Maybe you want
in an hour
to our venue. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just was. Again, it's just sometimes they just do what they've always done.
So stupid. All right. We'll see if any of the rumors swirling around the Reds and I don't know, Ketel Marte or whoever
I'm all for
this
the Reds pulling the trigger on some trades, man.
there's supposedly some calls being made from ticket vendors from the Reds to their clients saying, "Hey, tonight keep your ears open because some things are going to go down." So we'll see. That was all supposed to happen before 8 o'clock, according to the rumors swirling around Twitter. I don't know if any of it was true or if they're just trying to just drum up some business here in the Thanksgiving week. Who knows?
God, I was going to try to be asleep before midnight. Now I'm going to have to stay up late and wait for this.
Don't hold your breath.
Okay. I think I've been around long enough. I know not to do that. And if it happens, I'll find out in the morning. I don't have to be the first to know anymore.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna wrap things up here for our Thanksgiving week here at George in the Jungle. Thanks to all of those who joined us live. Thanks to everybody who listens to us on the podcast. But thanks to Remington Tavern for supporting our show. Thanks to Cincy Light for the studios. Remington Tavern, again, can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Check them out on Instagram at Remington Cincy or follow them on Facebook. Be sure to stop in this week. Grab yourself a holiday beverage. They taste a little bit better this week, especially if you're celebrating by yourself. But for George Vogel, I'm Aaron Smith. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll catch you back here next Tuesday at 9 o'clock to check out all of your Cincinnati sports.
Thank you, Aaron, and have a happy Thanksgiving.